We finally got a good look at the Blood of Dawnwalker gameplay. From eating a sausage during the day to preying on innocent humans at night, the devs showed off quite a bit, and props to them showing a big chunk of gameplay well before release. The visuals, the environment, and the overall feel of the world is heavily reminiscent of The Witcher 3, and it does look incredible. However, there are a couple of things I'm not a fan of, which we'll discuss later in the video. Anyways, we've got a lot of ground to cover, so let's jump into the breakdown. There are video chapters for easy viewing, so feel free to jump around, and without further ado, let's just dive in. First things first, the open world looks absolutely gorgeous. The demo starts on the outskirts of Svartrau, the biggest city in Wales Angora. Here we can see a campfire, and it seems that Cohen was resting here. This might mean that Cohen can rest or meditate to pass time, similar to The Witcher 3, and we'll discuss this in just a bit. Now pretty much everything you see here is accessible. There are towns, villages, forests, caves, and ancient ruins you can explore. You can also do some side activities like sabotaging blood transports, and on top of that, there are some random events that occur in the open world. Watching them closely can point to new quests or hidden treasures. The city of Novigrad, Svartrau, looks great. What does not look great though is this cramped Witcher Sense camera. Anyways, here we can see Brance's castle, which we'll talk more about in a bit. We also got a good look at the map. There are taverns, medics, armorers, blacksmiths, and other merchants, hinting at side activities and deeper customization options. There are also these question mark icons, likely pointing at strangers, hidden locations, or new quests. The world isn't just populated by humans either. There are different creatures and animals, and there are also some creatures that come out only at night. Anyways, let's move forward. The game starts a couple of years after Brancis killed the ruler of Wales Angora, the one we saw in the trailer. He's taken over the castle and now rules the valley. And you know what? You can actually try to take down Brancis right from the beginning. For that, you'll have to storm the castle either with some allies or on your own. That would be nearly impossible, of course, but I'm sure someone somewhere will manage to do it naked. Now what's interesting is this. There are no side quests. There are only quests. However, the main quest is to save your family in 30 days. You can also see how much time you have left for that, and we'll dive deeper into it in just a bit. From what we've seen so far, the cutscenes and voice acting seem pretty decent.
Alletur sanguine et insanguine morietur. Ego te baptizo in nomine Dei. Amen.
The transition between cutscenes and dialogue scenes feels smooth, but the loading times are a bit long.
Don't I know you from somewhere?
Anyways, the quest design offers complete narrative freedom. You can start or abandon any quest at any time. Your actions and choices don't just level you up, they affect your notoriety with the big bad, and he will actively work to make your life hell. He might set up checkpoints, restrict access to certain areas, meaning the world will change based on your choices. Now you can choose to work openly against the vampires or lay low until you are ready to strike. Depending on how you play, people can join your cause against the vampire regime. And it's possible that not just humans, but other creatures might become your allies in the fight to overthrow the regime and save Cohen's family. Safe to say, we're in for a lot of layered and interesting characters with their own motives and agendas. Speaking of alliances, there are also 3 romance options, and they're completely optional. The presenter also very carefully said you can romance people, and we all know where that's going.
Gay!
But since this is optional, I'm not complaining. With that aside, let's talk about the time resource. We got a good look at how the time will progress in the game. There's a time meter with 8 bars. They also showed us 2 times of the day so far, noon and moonrise. Now I'm not sure about it, but there are 2 ways they might be implementing this. One way is that when the 8 bars are filled up, it advances the day-night cycle. The other is that there are 4 distinct times of day: sunrise, noon, moonrise, and midnight. And each time the meter fills up, it progresses to the next phase. Either way, this is a really unique concept, because instead of a ticking clock, time works like a resource that you can strategically use in quests. As you can also see here, the hourglass on this dialogue choice means that picking it will progress time and fill up 1 bar in the meter. A longer quest might fill up more than 1 bar, but only time will tell. They also mentioned something like skipping time, which might hint at Witcher-style meditation or resting mechanic, but you obviously can't go crazy with it and have to use it strategically. They also showed how different abilities and playstyles change depending upon the time of day, and this is where things get really interesting. During the day, Cohen is a human and relies on human weapons. His father taught him how to fight with a sword, so that's his go-to weapon. And I don't think he'll be equipping anything else in the game. We also got a good look at the menus and the skill trees, and we'll dive deeper into those in just a minute. And other super interesting thing is that during the day, Cohen can use magic. And no, it's not Rainbow Blast or stupid shit like that. It's a much more grounded take on magic. And I really like the way they've balanced it. Because in this world, manipulating reality comes at a cost. Cohen has to carve runes into his skin to cast spells, and using magic also chips away at the health bar. This stops you from relying too much on magic. It also reminds me of the potion toxicity mechanic from The Witcher 3, where drinking too many potions would poison you. Now here you can upgrade your magic abilities so they hurt you a bit less, but they'll still cause some damage. And there is no health regeneration when you're a human, so you'll have to rely on consumables to heal. But all that changes once you become a vampire. At night you get some really cool vampiric abilities, you unlock cool traversal options, and the places you could not explore during the day become explorable at night. There's Plane Shift where you basically become Spider-Man, and Shadow Step lets you teleport to any place within reach. Kinda reminds me of Smoke Dash from infamous Second Son. We also see NPCs reacting to Cohen using these abilities. It's a nice touch that makes the world feel more alive. There's also a focus mode, which is basically this game's version of the Witcher senses. Another small thing I noticed is Cohen can crouch, which might mean that there is some stealth involved. The combat style also changes drastically, which we'll talk more about in just a bit. Now this is where things get really crazy. At night, your health bar also acts as a bloodthirst meter. Every night you start hungry. You need to quench your bloodthirst if you want to keep using your vampiric abilities and to avoid losing control. When feeding, you can choose to spare your victim and leave them unconscious, or drain them completely and kill them. But if Cohen loses control, that choice is gone. So if you start feeding on someone important, you won't be able to stop until they're dead. And that will have unpredictable outcomes on the story. They've also added some audio and visual cues when your hunger is maxed out, a very small but cool detail. Oh, and if you want to go full vegan, you can spare humans and feed on animals and other creatures instead. There's also an option to feed on vampire blood, which is a special case and comes with unique surprises. Also, can we talk about the music for a second, cause it's really good. Now during the day you need consumables to heal because humans don't regenerate. But as vampire, you have a healing factor. And here's how it works. When Cohen takes damage, part of the health bar turns gray. That gray section shows the portion of health that can regenerate. This also stops you from using magic, cause the runes on Cohen's arm are nothing more than scars at night because of his healing factor. Anyways, let's dive deeper into the combat. Combat was one of the weaker aspects of the demo, mainly due to the animations. But credits where due, the combat mechanics are incredible. They're well thought out and surprisingly layered. This isn't just simple hack slash dodge and parry. The combat is directional. This means you have to choose between 4 directions to strike: up, down, left and right. You need to look for an opening and strike the opponent where they're unable to block. And while defending, you have to notice the direction of the incoming attack to deflect it. You also have to rely on perks like throwing acrid dust to stun enemies, or a hex ability that can boil an enemy's blood, causing physical damage over time. And if you don't kill them while they're caught in the hex, they'll explode, causing additional damage to anyone nearby. The combat remains directional at night as well, but vampire claws feel more primal and raw. However, you can use your sword if you want to. You can also use vampire powers like shadow stepping behind enemies to flank them. One more thing I really liked is that enemy AI is aggressive. Enemies won't just stand around waiting for their turn to get hit, they'll actively switch positions and try to flank you as well. So the perks and the abilities allow you to take a more tactical approach to combat scenarios. That being said, the camera is way too cramped, and it gets even worse with the fisheye effect. It distorts the character model and just makes everything feel kinda weird. I'd prefer to be much more farther back, especially during combat, so you can actually see your surroundings. I do hope they change this, or at least give us an option to change the camera angles in the game. We also got a good look at the menus and skill trees, and they carry a lot of Witcher 3 DNA. There are various consumables, weapons and armors with different stats, and you can't just loot everything in the world. There's a weight system, and different items have different weights, so you might have to upgrade your backpack to carry more loot. One cool thing that caught my eye was the silver brooch. Owning silver is illegal in Vale Singora, since it's a weakness for vampires. We also got a look at the skill trees, and props to the devs for keeping things clean and organized. There are 3 separate skill trees, one for human, one for vampire, and one for shared abilities. There's also an active abilities panel for combat scenarios. Here you can also see a crafting tab, so maybe you can find rare ingredients and craft legendary swords and armor. And you know what's the best part? There are no microtransactions and there are no early access rewards. Everyone will get the same completed game and that's it. But with all that, there's still a couple of things that I'm not a fan of. Paired with a weird camera angle, the animations specifically during combat feel clunky and outdated. The hits don't feel impactful and there is not much weight behind them. On top of that, the transition animations, like going from running to walking, could also use some smoothing out. One more thing I noticed was a lack of horses. I mean, there are other villages, ruins and smaller towns. If there's traveling involved, not having horses is kind of weird. Now of course, this is early work in progress, so I'm sure there will be huge improvements down the road. But that being said, they're aiming for a 2026 release window, and even if it's fall 2026, that's still a bit too soon. In my opinion, they should take their time and polish the game to perfection. Anyways, the gameplay looks solid, and I'm really looking forward to playing this game. Do let me know in the comments what do you think about the Blood of Dawnwalker gameplay. Like and subscribe to the channel if you liked the video. Until next time, take care.